Hi, my name is Erika Alexander. I'm here with Angel, and you're watching ThisIs50.com.
Hi guys, I'm here with the beautiful, talented Erika Alexander.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here with you, Angel, and great to be here. I'm glad to be invited.
Yes. So how are you? First of all, you look stunning.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
You know, Fred Sanders, my makeup artist, came out and did this. This is a nice, beautiful dress that I just picked up just for you guys. Just
Nice.
for G Unit, just trying to hang. I knew I was coming here, and I said, do not come with my usual jeans and t-shirt. I said, if I'm coming here to G Unit, I gotta what? And then I'm glad because I gotta sit next to you.
Oh, thank you.
What's that? You know? But it's all right. I didn't know they were trying to sabotage my interview by sitting next to her, but it's all right.
Thank you.
It's all good.
So how are you?
I'm doing well. You know, I'm doing a lot of things differently in my life. People know me as an actress, but I've been writing lately as a producer.
Okay.
So people haven't seen me as much, although I do a show called Beyond, and I've done Queen Sugar and Get Out. But I've been teaching myself new skill sets. That's what I've been doing.
So you're doing a lot of writing. I've seen that you have a project coming out with the Boys Club.
The Boys Choir of Harlem.
Choir.
So I wrote a movie about the Boys Choir of Harlem. Went to up in Harlem to meet Horace Turnbull. Horace Turnbull is the surviving brother of Walter Turnbull. Okay. And I asked him for the rights a few years back to do a movie about the Boys Choir of Harlem. They came in from Greenville, Mississippi in the 1960s, late 1960s, and this is just when after Harlem had gone through the death of King and I shouldn't say Harlem, but the world had gone through that, and Martin Luther King, Malcolm, and JFK, all those things had happened. A lot of turmoil. Black Power, Ungawa was on the rise. And Walter Turnbull came to New York as wanting to be an opera singer, and they told him that his voice was too dark.
Wow.
And so he went just trying to make a living and was at a local church, and they needed something for the boys to do, and he said, I'm gonna build a choir, a classical choir. Now this is different because everybody was starting to get there again. Black Power, Ungawa, a lot of soul music coming out. You had Marvin Gaye, you had Motown. Nobody wanted to hear anything about classical, Bach, Beethoven, but he built one of the world's finest choirs out of Harlem boys that was on par with the Vienna Boys Choir or the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. And so I'm doing a movie about, I wrote the movie, and I just partnered up with Ava DuVernay's producing partner, Paul Garnes, and Electric City in LA, and we're gonna do the movie about the Boys Choir of Harlem and do the musical as well.
Oh wow. So how did that feel, like being hands-on? This is like your baby, like your. So how did that feel, like being hands-on and getting, being involved and being there, and how did that feel?
It's a lot of work.
It is.
Anytime you do anything that's outside of your comfort zone is work. I'm not usually the writer, but I saw very early on when I was on the Cosby Show that the writers had all the power. Now that I'm coming in the Cosby Show, I'm 19 years old. I've been acting since I was 14, and it took me sometimes you just need to look around you to see where power emanates, and then you say, well, what skill set do I need to have that? Sometimes it's popularity, sometimes it's fame, but a lot of times it's a skill set that you can, it's not outside of your purview, and that was, you have to be a creator, you have to be a writer, you have to be somebody who can put pen to paper and come up with something. I went to high school in Philadelphia High School for Girls, and I had the discipline of being out of high school, but I had not gone to college, and I haven't gone to college. So I had to teach myself the discipline of sitting in a chair and not having people tell me, oh, that's good, or I didn't know whether it was good or not until it was done, and then they'd say, oh, look at all those grammatical mistakes, look at that, and you start to beat yourself down and be discouraged, but you just keep going, and then after years you start to get better. But the art of writing, or the discipline of writing, is probably the most difficult one because it's the most lonely. You don't know what you're doing till it's done, and you don't know where you're at or whether it'll ever sell. So I just kept writing, and then I looked up, and one day had a comic book called Concrete Park, Best American Comic. My ex-husband drew the comic. He taught himself after 50 how to draw comics.
Wow.
Yeah. Then next thing you know, the Boys Choir of Harlem. I get a call from Joss Whedon last year, and Joss Whedon does the Avengers, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and he's like, will you do a collaboration with me? He wants to spin off the Giles character and send him to high school, and he meets a black girl vampire.
Wow.
And suddenly I'm doing that with him, and also all sorts of other projects that I'm really proud of. So.
You have a lot of amazing things going on. I also seen the comic series. I was looking, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I see you guys are doing like a signing and, pop up. And I was like, wow, she's really doing some amazing things, you know, as far as because, you know, of course, everybody loves you from your comedy
It's
roles.
nice to have, people have given me a lot of good faith for roles that I've done.
Yeah.
But the truth is, I wouldn't be here without the support of friends and fans and people who come on the street and they tell me that they admire or that they like my work. Those are the awards that you don't get.
Yeah.
You know,
It's priceless.
It's priceless, and it keeps you going. And so for everybody who's done that, at the bank, at the retail, you know, whether I'm getting my food and just gave me love, you just have to know from me that I don't take that for granted. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's go a little bit back, because of course I loved you as Maxine. So, you know, it was so like common. You know, you had a good personality, and you were like very funny. So now you're doing like more serious things, like, you know, the Get Out.
Oh, right. Get out.
Get Out. And also,
Get out of here.
Also, like, how did you feel? Because I see that they actually requested you to be in that movie. And you kind of pulled out other things other projects that you were doing just to be in Get Out.
Well, it was a difficult thing to put together. I was on Bosch. You know, when people don't see me, they say, "Where are you? We miss you." I said, when you don't see an actress, that means I'm probably doing several things to make ends meet. Yeah. So I'm guesting a lot. I was on Bosch, I was on Queen Sugar, I was also on Beyond, and trying to link up those schedules with just his shooting day, because that was a scene. If you see the movie, you'll know what scene, and trying to figure it out. Plus, I was Hillary Clinton's most traveled surrogate. And so all at the same time that was coming together, coalescing, and I wanted to make sure I could get there. It's an opportunity. I don't take anything for granted. It's nice when people want you. He wrote me this beautiful letter to tell me, Erika, you did such a great job. I would love for you to be in this movie. What do we need to do to make it happen? And I was like, nothing, Jordan. We're doing everything we can. It's just syncing up the schedule. So once we had the Queen Sugar thing set, I literally came from New Orleans, where I did it, flew that night over to Alabama, where they were filming the movie, got off the plane. He met me on the sidewalk, went to hair and makeup. They gave me that blonde cut wig. He said, do what you want to do with your hair. And I just had a big curly weave on, you know, Queen Sugar playing that role. And I knew I didn't want to take that character over there. They put that wig on me and I said, that's her. And then I went on set and we did it. A few hours later, I was on a plane in New York and Harlem that night giving speeches of talking about Hillary Clinton.
Wow.
And I'd like to say that's the life, but I was grateful that they were able to work with me. And not, to me, it's quite the opposite. I had to fix my schedule, but they were willing to, you know, be flexible.
They actually wanted you on there. That's
it's nice when people want you and they invite you to play. Come on, then you're giving everything because they reached out to you.
Okay, so I watched Get Out. I love that movie. I watched it a couple times. What's your view? How do you feel about them kind of like classifying it as a comedy?
What do you think about that? That's what I'm asking.
I didn't really see it being a comedy. Like I was a little confused.
Yeah, it is confusing. I think we need to look at this in a way where it's more of a, where can it win? And by the way, often the filmmaker they don't really make those choices. The studio does. Okay. So if you looked at Universal and Universal said, you know, we have a really great movie and then there's all this competition here and they're allowed to put it in a different category and suddenly it becomes the favorite of that category, they will move you. So there are people in the musical category that shouldn't be in the musical category, or musical comedy that should be really in drama. I think they need to fix that, because I think what happens is that it dilutes the talent field for people who are really in that category.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that Get Out is a drama. It's a horror movie.
Hands down.
But there is no horror. By the way, it also shows you that people look down now. In the music business, y'all will know this better. Hip hop didn't get its due, although it made all the money, right?
Yeah.
And in film and television, horror, action, and thrillers don't get their due, and they make all the money. So you see Schwarzenegger will never get an Oscar, which is silly. He's a great star. There should be an Oscar category for Best Action Movie. Action movies are making hundreds of millions of dollars and supporting the whole industry, and there has no category for horror or comedy until lately. So why doesn't Eddie Murphy have several Oscars? That's ridiculous. He's basically the zeitgeist of the American and mostly the world mind in terms of humor, and yet he's walking around with no award. That to me goes down to how they look down on comedy and horror. So that's why you see all that manipulation. Okay. They're putting it in a category they think they can win. And frankly, I think they can win just fine in drama.
Yeah, I believe it was a drama. You know?
Yeah, no, but that's all business, and we should just be upfront with that.
Okay. So now, you're an actress. You're a writer.
Sometimes. You see how much get in the grind, baby. Sometimes, you know.
Okay, you're an actress.
I clean carpets, too.
A writer and an activist. So let's touch on, you know, the Hillary Clinton campaign, that you were involved in. Mm-hmm. So can you talk about that?
Well, you know, in a lot of people's mind, let's just talk about how black people look at it. Mm-hmm. By the way, 94% of black women voted for Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. I think we understood the message and we understood the moment, and that's important. Black women, to me, are the moral majority. We may be in the minority, but we're the moral majority. And if you want to know what to do, ask a black woman. We always vote for the village. We get paid the least. We are the first ones denied and abandoned in terms of money game and all that. But we always choose the best for what's everybody. Even if we don't agree with you, we make sure that your rights are protected. Mm-hmm. Usually that's the purveyor of all black people. I think black men take, you know, it can be a little testy, but 80-something% of them, 86% voted for Hillary Clinton. Yeah. They understood the movement and the movement, the moment, and the momentum. I think it was a difficult year for us. We didn't just get there with just the momentum of Barack Obama and his hope and the surge of everything good. Mm. We were also caught in every day looking at black men get shot on the streets in broad daylight, running for their lives, shot in the back, shot in cars with children in the back, the front seat, not getting any justice. Sandra Bland suddenly over a weekend getting hung.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Horrible. Black people, and my heart goes out as a black person. Through all of that, we were asked to vote for hope and more of the same. Mm-hmm. And to our credit, we always do. But underneath those traumatic situations, we're always under PSTD, you know, under huge amount of pressure to keep believing and showing up. And that's what I think we need to repair, is to go in and remind people that we are the moral majority, that we have to do things that other people can't get it up for. Exactly. Alabama can say, oh, we vote our pocketbooks. Well, black people always vote their pocketbooks, but that's why they always vote for the right thing to do. They were voting their racism. They were voting their fears.
Exactly.
We weren't voting our fears and our racism. Otherwise, nobody would have come out to vote. Why should we? We had no reason to, but we always do. And I think we need to remember our place in history. 13% that are in America, these 13% of these black and brown faces have turned out to be the culture makers of the world. And we make our culture mostly by what we believe and our true convictions. Whether you're talking about Motown, or you're talking about hip hop, the poetry of hip hop, the truth of it, disco, all that beautiful stuff we made, jazz, blues. It came out of our pain, but it comes out of our promise. Yes. That's what the Hillary Clinton campaign was for me. It was a way to support a person that I didn't think people knew. They knew the mythology of her. And I think that black people understand that they create a mythology around you. It's very hard to shake it off. If you say something wrong once and people say, oh, he said super predator. I said, yeah, but did you hear what she said after that? Did you see what she did before that? You want to just judge person on their worst moment in the speech, or are you going to give them some leeway like you should? Because black people understand that there's other things at hand that you can try to do a good thing. Talk about the crime bill. People say, well, that's in the homeless black people to jail. I said, yeah, but black people asked for that. The CBC wanted that. Why do we want that? Because I lived in East New York, where you would go out, and because of the Nixon and the Reagan years, they had flooded those neighborhoods with drugs, and you couldn't walk down the street without getting shot and or have some sort of reliability that your children wouldn't be accosted. That's what we were dealing with. And when he came into power, meaning Clinton, they asked for a crime bill that would get more cops out on the street, more cops of color, and it turned out to do all that. More black people moved into the middle class. All sorts of things happened that were good. More black people in administration. More black people doing more inner city programs for people after school. Black people turned out to be the most prosperous time for black people in our lives. but we have to look at the fact that there was also unintended consequences. So I was around to go and talk about these issues and bring them up and not say, let's not paint just one picture. Michelle Alexander might have a thing, Ta-Nehisi Coates might have his point, but there was extenuating circumstances, and certainly he came out and apologized. There's not many presidents that come out and say, I'm sorry. That's not what our intention was. Did I do things that might have impressed some people because I was trying to do my whole Southern thing? Yes. I'm a better man than I was. We need to understand the complexity. Black people can never get caught up in that silliness, that shallow mess. That's what I was there to talk about. I was there to know her record and talk about it. Most people were open to listening to it. And like I said, Black people, we vote or die.
Yeah, I actually was rooting for Hillary. I was very devastated when she didn't win. I was rooting for her, and I was kind of upset because of the amount of colleagues I had and associates that were like, well, I'm just not going to vote. And I'm like, well, and I felt like it was a lot of doubt. You know, they were so doubtful, like you said, they kind of were doubtful already. Oh, she's not going to win. He's going to win anyway. So they didn't even go out and just, put a vote in. So I was really devastated that Hillary didn't win, because I felt like with her husband, being behind her, they would be a team. So we kind of had like two.
All that. And I think a lot of people thought that would be a detriment in some way too. Here's the thing. Thank you for all that you did, because that to me holds up an infrastructure. The infrastructure is first of faith and belief, and then it's what we do, the action we put behind it. Again, Black people can't be cornered by our feelings like, oh man, don't matter. It does matter. It has mattered our entire life in this state that we're in, meaning as former slaves. Changed because we eventually got the vote. Frederick Douglass fought for it. Martin Luther King gave his life for it. Malcolm X didn't believe in that per se, but in a way he gave his life to it, for his beliefs. And here we are shucking and jiving, and even to not think of voting. But we change the world every time we vote. We vote with our money and our music and our minds and our talent. How is it that 13% of this population has this much of the hearts and minds of the world? That's how powerful we are. African Americans, everybody's looking to us to say, what do we do? And now we need to take it back. We need to remember our place in the world, in the universe, and then grab it and not seek the moment and say, well, that's for pikers. We're kings. We're iconic.
Wow. You're so inspirational. I'm sorry. I'm just like listening to you, and I'm like, wow, she's very educated.
No, but
you know what you're saying. You know what you're talking about.
Angel, but I'm inspired by you because
thank you.
No, we have these conversations now, but we were having them together with each other, one-on-one. And the fact that you were able to, a lot of people were afraid to say they were for Hillary because they got so much blowback. Like, oh man, you were supporting a demon. I'm like, what's demonish about that woman? Look at her record over time. She was in Alabama undercover, exposing, private academies when they wouldn't follow the Board of Education. She was with Marietta Monright getting young Black boys out of South Carolina adult jails just after Yale. She's in her 20s. She's coming out talking about women's rights or human rights. They're throwing babies away in China. Wow. She was the first one to say, you can't do it, we see you. She's standing next to somebody who's a dissident in their country. They have an expectation that they will live. They say, if she stands next to me, I will live. Wow. They won't kill me. That's how powerful that person is.
But see, these are the things that people don't know.
But they're coming for Kamala. They need to know they're coming for other people. Maxine Waters. All these people will be torn down by the same things. The mythology that they created around Hillary is the expectations that they created around anything of power. And Black people, by the way, Hillary is probably the first candidate woman who've been chewed up and thrown away and despised like Black women every day. The minute we come in a room, people looking at us like, oh, who does she think she is? Oh, she thinks she's, okay, all that power coming from you unsettles it. You know who's all right with that power? Black men. Because Black men have been raised by grandmamas and aunties who had that strict kind of thing, but they knew they were for them. They were like, baby, this is what I need from you. I want you to, to be, they're not afraid of that. I hate to say it, white men are afraid.
Intimidated.
Intimidated.
Like
they're
when we walk in the
intimidated
room,
by
they're
you.
like,
your body, your
they're
gorgeousness, your brain.
I agree with that.
So she got treated like the heavyweight champion she is, but she was just in whiteface. Black women take that every day. That's why I fought. I fought for her. I believed in her record, and I believe in her, and I really admire her, and I really love her. I've grown to love her. I fought for her for my mother. I fought for all the grandmamas and the aunties that I knew, the people who raised me, the black men who told me that I needed to fight for people who were being misjudged because of the power that they were bringing. And the mistakes they make, let's look at them. Let's put them out there. But let's not just throw that whole person away. Black people do that every day.
Because she was for the people. Hillary was for the people.
For me,
you need to wake up.
Yeah.
You got to wake up.
Not the silly rumors, not the Haiti stuff that people bring up. It's all nonsense. We can't afford to trade on paranoia and wrong information. And when you get right information, let's have that discussion. Because then I can say, okay, yeah, you may have a point to that. But then what else was there? What else can we say is in that corner? And that's where, when you get half the medication that people get from AIDS around the world is from the Clinton Foundation.
Wow.
Half the people in the world get their medication from that foundation. And they tore it down to say it's a slush fund for Russia and all this.
It's crazy.
Somebody going to hell over that.
It's crazy. I want to touch another topic because I really want your opinion because I see like you're very informative and you're very involved. How do you feel about the Me Too project? You fooled me. How do you feel about the Me Too project right now that's going on?
Hashtags. Oh, well, you know what?
Super hashtags, right? That's a lot of hashtags.
I might be so grateful. I've been 34 years in this business and I cannot put that hashtag behind. It is. I'm not a Me Too. My sister was raped in the middle of the street.
Oh,
talking
wow.
about
Sorry
the
to hear
80s.
that.
Yeah, broad daylight, East Mount Airy, coming from her job, 19 years old. She can put that on there. She was raped twice, raped in broad daylight in an open air garage, and then date raped twice at Lock Haven University. My mother was molested growing up in her mother's, both my parents were orphans. By the way, I just want to quickly say who I am. People know me as Max and all these other places, but I was born in Arizona. I'm the child of 2 orphans. I'm one of 6. I lived off of Route 66 in a hotel called Starlight for the first 11 years of my life. Everything that I'm, just being next to you here in sophisticated New York, no one would have told me then that I could be here hanging with you guys. Y'all are the cool kids. I was that girl that was just hoping that people didn't think I was corny. And got to Philadelphia. My father was an itinerant preacher. He was Church of God, Lutheran Church of God in Christ, and then he changed to Lutheran because he had 6 children and they had health care. And so they sent him to the theological seminary, and we got there, and my mother would send one of us each year to an extracurricular activity. It was my turn. She said there was this local theater called Freedom, and it was a 6-week class, and in the 5th week of the class, they came, and I was attending as a theater student, and they cast, and they needed little girls for a movie called My Little Girl. It was a Merchant Ivy film, and they cast me in it, and it gave me my whole career, changed my life, but it did not change my circumstances. One of the reasons that I got with Hillary Clinton is when I went to the Philadelphia High School for Girls, I got out. He was the first president I voted for. I was fascinated with this woman who was different, who was kind of mouthy and sort of offbeat, because that was me, a person that didn't really know. I was dorky and I wasn't cool. And I thought, well, she reminds me of me and the people who taught me, And so when you ask me about Me Too, I think that any sort of thing that empowers women to speak their truth is a good thing. And this is very hard for me to say carefully. We need to watch out because there is a lot of sort of things happening very quickly and people losing their jobs and having to answer for it and resign. And maybe because I'm Black, I'm always thinking that people should have their day in court. They're not going to get their day in court because the laws didn't extend that way for women to get their day. Sometimes the court of public opinion is the court that's going to happen. And the men may know, and we're talking about men now, that they've done these things. And if you have an overconfluence of women coming forward saying it and they've never met each other, then you've got to believe them. Yeah. Why do I believe them? Because I had 2 people in my family who were molested in their life, and I would believe them. And I want to believe everybody that says that. I believe that we're in a moment, and I got to go back to Hillary. Hillary's the mother of the movement. This movement is something where people were so furious at the election It was stolen. I'm sorry. The Russians came in and stole it. There's a lot of things that need to come out, but to subvert the person who's the most qualified who ever ran for the office, to get the most disqualified, evil, mean-spirited person up there who's just destroying people left and right. And he got there with such arrogance, and he was in front of everybody on there lying about his crowd size, despising this magnificent man, President Obama, Michelle Obama, who've done a fantastic job. He's now taking credit for their economy, their stock market, acting like, look it, I came and I did this. You did nothing. You've done nothing but tear this world down, tear the United States down. But okay, we have to deal with you because people in the backwoods have decided to vote their fears and to drag us back into the 18th and 17th century. All right. If women are getting their time to sort of wake up and see their power, then the Me Too moment matters. Yes. But I say, after the hashtag, what does it lead to? Are we going to get legislation and policy and practices inside of businesses where people feel safe? That if somebody hits on them, you know the difference as a woman, and you're not going to just say, look, he was just trying a little bit. I'm not going to destroy his career because that's what men and women do. But was it inappropriate? Are we going to get people to talk about what's appropriate and inappropriate? You need to teach men. That's too far. That was, you know what I mean? We've got to know, because for a long time we've just been making these rules up. And these rules were made up by unfortunate people who I don't think ever understood the pressure that women are under to feel like objects as opposed to subjects.
That was a really good answer.
That's a long answer.
That was a good answer, though. I'm okay.
I'm sorry. It's early in the morning. I'll edit myself later. No, they'll edit me. I don't take it for granted that somebody has come and they're going to tell me that what I did mattered to them, or they made them smile, or encouraged them, or they're in college now, or they're a lawyer. I've met Marilyn Mosby. She said, I went to law school before because of you. I met the marriage, Charlene. I love the first lady here. And they were like, you know, we got in politics. We love you. You know, you inspired us. They're my age, you know. That's huge. I want to be liked because I feel like that day that they pointed at me at Freedom Theater and said, you, it changed everything. That poor girl from Arizona got chosen to be on the big stage.
I need to hug you because I feel you right now. I feel your emotions, but that's real.
They chose me.
Real. They chose you. So with that being said, what advice would you give to young girls out there who are doubtful, who might be in a situation that they feel like they can't get out of, or who might feel like they could never be on a big screen, be at a campaign, people remember them, don't have a voice, or feel like they're letting their poverty or their circumstance, maybe their mother's on drugs and they feel like there would never be anything. Maybe they got locked up once or went to juvenile, so they feel like their life is over. What advice would you give to these young girls to let them know that they could be sitting right here where you are, in the seat that you're in, or be on the screen, Get Out, or anything that they inspire to be? What advice would you give them?
That it won't be easy. That's hard. That you have to haul ass. I wish I could tell you there's some magic bullet. There isn't. I wish I could tell you to work harder, but I know you're probably working hard right now. But I got to tell you to work harder, to work smarter. Whatever you're doing, if it's not working, you have to be the first one to realize that and change course. Yes. You have to see who the people you're surrounded by. The people you're surrounded by, it's true. If they don't have the same ambitions, you'd have to drop them, but you got to get people who have those ambitions and see what they're doing that's different. You have to make sure that you are preparing your mind and coming home and reading the newspaper. Everybody should read a newspaper once a week. Why? Because the front page tells you what your life is like. You have to vote, not just national votes for president, vote local. Those are the things that really reflect you, that will affect you. Things like schooling, if you're interested in that and they're saying no, go someplace and keep telling people what you want to do. Somebody will give you an opportunity to apprentice or be in their space. And if you get that quiet, don't talk so much, listen, look, learn. All I can tell you is that life is, I don't need to tell you that life is tough. If everything that you say is true is happening for them, then you know that already. But I do think that if you press hard enough, long enough, doors open. If the right people will start to say, I got you, and give you an opportunity. But that's just an opportunity to work more. Make sure you please do family planning. It matters. Those people love their children, but often that can waylay you and delay you and make you have to make other choices. Yeah. Now, other people say, well, I can still do what I want to do. Yes, you can, but it might take you now 20 years. Mm-hmm. How will your health hold out? How will your finances hold out? If you have an opportunity to make sure that child comes at a time that you'd like, then do it. Yes. Don't just have people lay up on you and decide for you and then have to be caught up in that. It really matters for women, and it matters very much for men who get caught up and suddenly they're like paying left and right and having to keep jobs that they don't want to. So I tell you the same thing, haul ass, prepare your mind, read every day, understand the world around you. And by the way, there are people out there who want to see you succeed. Find those people and stay close to them, and then also find out what made them like themselves and do what they did. And also move on. Keep it moving, because you're not meant to stay at one place all the time unless you're being promoted. And if you're not, it's okay. By the way, it's okay to say no and disappoint people. They won't hate you. You'll be a success and they'll say, I helped you. They may not like it because, you know, when you're a really good worker, they don't want to lose you. But it's important that you promote yourself and you know how valuable you are. So make sure you understand your value.